I got everything on here, but it,
Yeah.
interesting because we're all throwing out favorite doctors here. I started on Tennant. I love Tennant. I cosplay Eccleston because, to be quite frank, I have the hair for it.
Right.
I can get away with him. But my favorite doctor is Pertwee.
I understand that. He's an amazing
I
guy.
have a great love of Pertwee because you look at, okay, Hartnell is an old man in a suit.
Yes.
Troughton is a clown with a Mo Howard haircut and a recorder. And then you go from that to the dandy doctor.
Yes.
With his fro and his cravat and his velvet smoking jacket. He doesn't have the TARDIS for most of the series. He has Bessie.
Yes, Bessie. Yes.
And you start to see in there a lot of the stuff like the companions, the whole. I mean, Troughton started the Children of Time idea where he started bringing people together.
Right.
Pertwee started to perfect it with the relationship he has with the Brigadier and how he establishes ties with the unit. You're starting to see the Doctor coming forward as less of this enigmatic history figure and more a person who brings people together for a cause.
Yeah.
That was missing in Eccleston. He did not have that. Tennant, he did towards the end.
Well, but you have to remember with Eccleston, that was a reboot of the series, and Eccleston had only said he would do the series for one season to help get it started. And he also did it to prove that he could do something other than the very heavy dramatic work he had been doing. And quite honestly, they were worried that the name Doctor Who alone wouldn't be enough to completely reboot the franchise. And the fact that Eccleston has not been knighted for his work as an actor is insane to me. So they got an actor of the highest caliber to come in and play this role to help reboot the franchise. So they weren't able to do as much with that character because they knew they only had one year to do it.
Well, and also in the case of Eccleston, because this is the first time we are seeing the Doctor since Gallifrey has become a thing. Because it was not a thing until Troughton. Well, and not till the very end of Troughton's run, and it wasn't even called Gallifrey.
Yeah.
But this is the first time we're seeing the Doctor as the last of the Time Lords.
Yes.
Like, all the other Doctors had this home planet that they were referred to. Yeah, they were running from it, but to me, of course, they only had him for a season. But the fact that Eccleston's Doctor was more reluctant to bring people together seems in keeping with his character, given what he's just gone through.
Yeah, that does make
with
sense.
the destruction of his home planet. He's going to be more, it's almost like he's going through the depression, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Interesting you bring that up, because I have a theory, because everyone talks about what happened with the 8th Doctor, what happened with the 8th Doctor, how did he regenerate? I have this theory, I want to know what you two think about it. I've been going around saying that, okay, the 8th Doctor was the Time War. The 8th Doctor was the one who did the deed, who locked time and space away, and then the next time you see him, you see a guy who's basically got post-traumatic stress disorder. You got a guy who's completely suffering.
Right.
I am of the mindset that the 8th Doctor committed suicide. He forcibly regenerated because he couldn't handle the stress, and that's what you're seeing the fallout in 9.
That's a good theory.
That's not a bad idea. I mean, I could see him. I mean, he's alluded, many times to his being responsible for the death of the Time Lords, and I can see him doing that as atonement, if nothing else, just in the sense of, well, if all the Time Lords are going to die, then it's only proper that I die too. I can see him doing that. He's very honor bound that way, and yeah, definitely.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
That's a good theory. I like that.
Because we know they can forcibly regenerate. They
Right.
get into the 2nd Doctor. They can force you. They can force the institution. So that's just
Yeah.
it's like okay. And then you look at 10. Still has a little bit of it going on.
Yeah, still
and then
very
11.
worried.
It's like I killed hundreds of Time Lords.
Fear me, I've killed all of them.
Yeah.
And he can talk about it with nonchalance by
Yeah,
not seeing
he's had enough. And he couldn't have. It was way too close. It was very close. There was one thing that I brought up. Michael and I were lucky enough a couple of months ago to do a panel with Paul Cornell, who's one of the writers for Doctor Who. He wrote Father's Day and Family of Blood and Human Nature. An amazing guy. If you ever get to hear him talk, sweetest guy on the planet.
Incredibly. I stalked the entire con. He never, he never calls a game once.
No. But we brought up something very interesting on that panel. With the end of Big Bang and Pandora opens in Big Bang, we've essentially rebooted the universe. That's essentially what happens in that episode. So, since we've rebooted the universe, does that mean that the Time War never happened? Does that mean that we've never encountered, that they've never encountered certain enemies? Does that mean certain things in the canon have never? And Paul didn't have an answer for that. He said I honestly don't know if Stephen Moffat has an answer, which is interesting because Stephen Moffat is his best friend. Stephen Moffat was the best man at his wedding.
Wow.
And Stephen Moffat won't tell him anything. So.
Mama doesn't tell anyone anything.
No.
Yeah, well, and he'd have a difficult time explaining it because God knows what's going on in that man's mind. It must be very difficult to just sit and have tea with the guy. I love him. I think he's brilliant. I'd love to meet him, but I'm pretty sure my head would explode. No, but speaking to that, yeah, the universe has been rebooted, but I don't necessarily think that that's meant to be taken as a free-for-all, because obviously everything that had existed up until that point
I agree,
exists now. So I still think we can assume that the Time War happened, but maybe some Time Lords survived that didn't in the earlier version of the universe. I mean, who knows? It's Moffat, and as far as I'm concerned, Moffat can do whatever the hell he wants with that show because he's brilliant. Just keep doing it.
I think he's a genius.